I'm staying at my sister's for a bit while she recovers from surgery, and she's been kind enough to let me use her craft room while I'm here. She's even given me free reign of her craft supplies, with the exception of a few things she set aside for her own projects. So today, I thought it would be fun to play with a watercolor wash technique using an acrylic block. It's a simple way to create a soft, blended background with just a little bit of water and your favorite ink. Hey everyone, it's Lean from coloradolean.com. Welcome to my sister's craft room. I'm going to be making two different cards today. And the first one, I'm going to be using Memeonto inks in Dandelion, Cantaloupe, and Tangelo. I have a 3x3-inch stamping block. This is from Stampabilities that I'm going to be using for this particular card. And I will be doing my stamping on some Strahmore Bristol Vellum surface card. This is cut to 4 inches wide by 5¼ inches tall. Now, with this particular stamping block, you can see here, if I can get the glare off of it, that it does have a grid on it. Now, this is great if you are stamping a sentiment. However, for this particular technique, you need to work on the back side of the stamp. This does have etched lines in it, and if we were to stamp on this side, then we would get these lines. So let's go ahead and turn this over. Now, when I played around with this yesterday, there was some residual ink on here, and I just cleaned that off with hand sanitizer and a paper towel. So I want to make a sunset type of card. So I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is Dandelion. And I am just going to add my ink to the stamp. And then I will place some Cantaloupe on there. And some Tangelo. Now I'm going to overlap just a little bit, but not a whole lot. Now that I have my ink on here, I am going to take the Distress sprayer, and I'm going to go off camera, and I'm going to liberally spray this down. Now, I don't want it completely dripping wet, but I do want the entire surface covered with water. All right. Now I will turn this over and stamp it down. And please, as always, excuse my head. All right, now let's pick that up. And then with a paper towel, I'm just going to wipe my block clean. And I don't know if you can see this, but they're these little water droplets. I don't really like those. So I'm just going to blot them up with my paper towel. Okay. Now this part is rather tricky to get it perfectly. This was the first time I stamped it. Now, I have done this technique before, but it has been many, many years ago. I will link down below to the Flashback Friday post on my blog where I showed this technique, the finished card. I didn't actually show you how to do it, but I did have a finished card. Now with this one, you can see that there is hardly any ink that transferred. So this was number one. And then I sprayed a little bit more and I got this result. So the yellow was fine. I did not get near enough ink on the top two colors. And that's kind of where this one lands. I didn't get a whole lot of water up on the top, so it's really splotchy, and I don't really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and redo this. I have another piece of Strahmore cut to 4 by 5 1/4. So I will set this down. There is the Dandelion. And the Cantaloupe. And now for the Tangelo. This one I might have too much water on, but let's stamp it down and take a look. Oh no, I think that one's going to be good. May not be straight, but I definitely have enough water to activate the ink and kind of blend it together. Again, I'm going to take my paper towel and just blot up some of this extra water that I don't like. All right. I like how that one looks. So let's go ahead and set this aside to dry while I cut another piece of Strahmore Bristol Vellum surface card so we can get our second card. All right, I have another sheet of Strahmore Bristol Vellum surface that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I am again using Dandelion and Tangelo, but this time I brought in bamboo leaves. And for a stamping block, I'm going to use a 6-inch long stamping block it's about 1 3/4-ish inches wide. So let's go ahead and ink this up the same way. I'm going to start with my Dandelion. Now, maybe I'll add a little bit more than that. All right. And then I will throw in some Tangelo. I really love this orange color. It is really pretty. And then I am going to finish it off with bamboo leaves. Again, I'm going to go off screen and spray this with my distress sprayer. And then we will stamp this down. I love how that turned out. As you can see, the Tangelo bled down into the Dandelion and up into the bamboo leaves, which is perfect. So again, let's go ahead and set this aside to dry. While our background's dry, I am going to cut one more embellishment for the second card I'll be doing today. And to do that, I'm going to be using the large and medium Maple Leaves with Shadow die set. This is from Elentina, purchased from Tesla Crafts. I know my sister picked these up a couple of years ago at the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo, and I have been dying to play with them because they are so pretty. So I am going to be using what I am assuming is the medium size, although it looks pretty small to me. And I'm going to bring in my sister's original Sizzix Sidekick. I have another piece of the Strahmore cut, and I have the new Sizzix cutting plates for the Sidekick. That makes this usable in this situation. All right, this little guy does not want to attach to the cutting pad, so I'm going to bring in the acrylic plate that actually comes with the machine, and let's try this again. And I do apologize if this table is wiggling a lot. It's definitely not my sturdy setup at home. Okay, I finally got that cut through. I needed to add a thin paper shim, and that worked fine. Now, getting intricate die cuts like this out of dies can be a pain in the patootie. So I know a lot of people say just drop it and it takes care of itself. Well, not so much in this case. So I thought I would show you how I get my die cuts out of intricate dies like this. I use my Tim Holtz craft pick, and I do extend it almost all the way. And then I will go around and carefully start loosening the die, or loosening the die cut from the die. And I'm going to try not to poke myself because I don't want to bleed all over everything. And then once I get it loosened, I will turn it over. And I'm just going to run the craft pick between the paper and the die. And then I will gently turn it and just gently pry it up, not ply it. And then it separates perfectly. Let's bring in the craft sheet again. And I'm going to add some color to these. So again, I will bring in my bamboo shoots, Tangelo, Dandelion, and a little bit of rich cocoa. So I want these leaves to remind me of fall in Seattle, where I grew up. So I am going to, just with a little finger dauber, I'm going to add this beautiful orange color all the way around. Now I'm going to try my best not to rip this like I did last night. So I'm going to start in the middle and just kind of brush it out towards the edge. Then I'm going to use a little bit of the rich cocoa just on the stem. And there is my first fall leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and color these other two leaves. I'm going to do one in dandelion, and I'm going to do the other one just in bamboo leaves. and I will put rich cocoa on all of the stems. And then I will be right back with you and we will move along to the next step. Okay, let's go ahead and start working on our first cardigan. The background is nice and dry, and you want to make sure this is dry before you do any other stamping. I'm going to start off with the Butterfly Basics stamp set from Stampin' Up. My sister has a few Stampin' Up stamps, and she hasn't even used this one yet. So let's take advantage. Now I am using the Tim Holtz and Tonic Studios mini stamp platform. And if you've not used Tim's stamp platforms, this top door comes off and you can use it for clear stamps or turn it over and use it for rubber stamps. So I'm going to slip that back into place. And I'm going to peel the backing off of this. Now I will ask my sister later if she wants me to put the label on this so she knows which one it is. But for now, let's go ahead and move things around a bit here. Let's place our card in. And because this little fern is going to be going in, I am going to put that on this side of the card. So I think I will line it up right about there. Close the platform and catch it. I did bring my Gina K Designs amalgam ink with me because I will be working on Christmas cards here shortly. All right, and then let's go ahead and ink this up again. Okay, so I have a nice dark image on there. Now, unfortunately, I am making this a sympathy card. My sister needs to send one this week. So I am going to be using this Thinking of You. I believe this is an Inkadinkadoo stamp, but it doesn't have the name on there. I will do my best to look that up, and if I can find it, then I will list that down below. And I did turn my top plate over so I can pick up the clear stamp. And again, I will use my amalgam ink. And there is our finished card front. Now for this one, I am going to use the Hero Arts Celebrate Everyday stamp set. When I looked this up last night, I did not see a location to purchase this, but I will continue looking for that in case you're interested. And I will place my magnets in here. And I am going to use the Happy Thanksgiving. Well, you know what? Let me look at that. So this is the good thing about Tim's machine. You can take the cover off and get a nice look and make sure your stamps are lined up. I do find that extra handy compared to the Misty stamping platform that I use. And there is that one. Because I'm using black ink on my card fronts, I wanted to bring in a little bit more. So I have mats cut with Recollections 110-pound cardstock. It is approximately 4 1/8 inches wide by 5 3/8 inches tall. So it will give me a nice subtle border around both the images. And because we're working with watercolor, I definitely want to use score tape. And I'm also going to add some Barely Art Precision Glue as well. Now, when you're working with a double-sided tape like this, the easiest way to get the backing off is if you burnish the tape down so that it is sticking really well to your cardstock. And then I like to take my Tim Holtz craft pick and take the tape off like that. To get extra hold down, I'm going to put some Barely Art glue on top of my score tape. This is going to help hold the cardstock down a little flatter, as well as give me time to move it around on my card mat. And now we have a piece that is a lot flatter than it was. So let's go ahead and get this other card put together. For my card base, I am using 110-pound white Recollections cardstock. This is 8.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. Let's stop and think for a moment. And I'm going to use the Score Buddy and score this at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to turn it over and use the scoreboard to help me get this lined up. And now I'm going to take my Teflon bone folder and burnish this score line so it folds flat. Now let's go ahead and put our first card together. Now I do like to have my card base in the horizontal position. It's just easier for me. So I want to make sure the fold is at the top and that my card front is going the right direction. And there's just going to be a little bit of a margin around. That is our first card. Before I put this card onto my card base, I do want to figure out what I'm going to do with my maple leaves. I definitely want to make sure the colors do not overlap. So I think I will put them on like this. And they can hang over the card, but not by a lot. There just isn't a lot of room on there. And I want to kind of have them going all different directions. So it looks like they're falling from the trees. So I think I will do something like that. All right, I had to track down my sister's tweezers. So let's go ahead and dab a little bit of glue on here. I think I'm mostly going to get just the ends of the leaves and then just a few spots in the middle. It doesn't need to be completely covered in glue. All right, I think that'll work. Now let's go ahead and add this to our card base. And there is card number 2. Both of these cards turned out so beautifully, and I'm really happy with how this watercolor wash technique worked with the acrylic stamping blocks. The yellow, orange, and green palettes created such a soft blended background, perfect for a Thanksgiving card and just as lovely for a sympathy card. It's amazing what you can do with just ink, water, and a simple block. Thank you so much for joining me here in my sister's craft room while I'm helping her recover. The lighting and setup are a bit different from my usual space, but I hope you still enjoyed creating along with me. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it with a crafty friend, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Happy crafting!